ahead. So right there, down there is a simulated view, and right there, it's backwards, is actually my camera, which is out there. So I'm going to try to go in a little bit. This is shaky. Sorry for the shakes. So I'm going to try to get it to come into frame because I'm zoomed in so tight. I barely touch this. Oops. There we go. So I'm going to move it on that side of the screen because it's going to be moving down. So I have no idea if people are actually seeing this or not because I don't want to max out what resources I have on my computer. So yeah, James, thanks he's telling me my frames are a little low, but they can hear me fine. So the great thing is there's not a ton of movement here for you to actually see. So I am, but it's okay. So neighbors are all interested in what's going on. So we're going to move this over. So yeah, invite some of the neighbors over next door. They're going to come see because I can have it zoomed in like I do here, so they can kind of see it. So it looks really cool. Wow, you can see how fast. If I had a telescope, which good luck finding a telescope right now because so many people are getting into astronomy, they're having a tough time seeing it. So I'm going to tilt down. So I'm going to tilt down, and I apologize for tilting down a little bit, but you'll see because of the how fast the Earth is rotating and how fast everything is moving. When you zoom in tight, everything looks quicker. So you'll see it start to come into frame here. It's coming down into frame here. So what you're seeing again, to the right is Saturn, to the left is Jupiter, and then you're seeing the moons of Jupiter. I'm zoomed in tight enough that you can actually see the moons of Jupiter. And I had the simulated view just so you could see the labeling: Callisto, Io, Ganymede, and Europa. Now I can't see it on here. I don't know. I should put my glasses on, but I can't see the moon Titan, which is the biggest moon around Saturn, which would be just to the lower right if you were watching right now. So, but there it is. So you can see it. It's actually showing up, and I know it's pausing a lot. We're getting a lot of frame drop because I'm trying to push 3. I'm pushing 3, so it's okay. We're just streaming online, but you guys come on over. You can see it. Yeah, you're not on camera, so.
Not on camera. So here.
I have it zoomed in. So what you're seeing, those are the moons of Jupiter, and so you can see what they're called. This is actually a simulation of what it is. That's real time on my camera. So that moon up there is Callisto. That's Io, Ganymede, and Europa, and then that's Saturn. So they're only 1/10 of a degree apart. So yeah, so it's 300 millimeters zoomed in, and then I'm digitally zoomed in, so you can actually see the moons. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, I got a mic on here, so they probably won't hear you guys in the background. What's really cool is I can almost see the rings on Saturn, just slightly, but it's so blurry. I wish I had a telescope. Yeah, so you see the moons of Jupiter? You can actually pick them up.
Oh, right there?
Yep.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah.
He's streaming it, so if you go to his page, you can see what he's streaming on his page. Well, in particular, my son-in-law is streaming him.
So yeah, to us they look like they're next to each other, but zoomed in, there's still a little gap, 1/10 of a degree. It's not very far. It's the closest in 400 years, but 400 years ago it happened during the day, so you couldn't see it. So 800 years ago number is when it was at night.
Right.
So that's why you hear those two numbers, and it will happen again in 2040 and 2080.
How can you know that?
It's all math. So we know the orbits of all the planets. You can actually backtrack all the way to the beginning of time and see where they were.
A whole bunch of scientific equations.
So
Unbelievable.
So it's kind of why we know this isn't really the Christmas star, because this conjunction did not occur during the birth of Christ.
Oh.
So it was probably some other conjunction. Could have been Venus and which Venus is the second brightest object besides the moon in the sky, or Venus and another star, or a supernova, or a comet. Could have been something else, but it most likely wasn't this, because this did not happen. Yeah. I think people wanted to call it the Christmas star because there was a theory that a conjunction like this was the Christmas star, but we know it wasn't this exact conjunction. It was probably some other conjunction. Yeah. Well, that's what I said. I said it's so cool. It's like even if it's not the Christmas star, it's like it's a rare event. So. Let me see. We're going to move the camera just a little bit more. There we go. So I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit more, which we'll try. So we'll try that. That looks a little cooler. So I'm going to grab my phone here. So I'm sorry if I've not been talking to the neighbors here, answering questions. So again, we're going to move the lower left for everybody who's just kind of getting on here. I'm going to pull up my Facebook page so I can see some of these questions. Excuse me. So what you're looking at right here, this camera that I'm talking on right now, where my face probably freezes every couple minutes, is actually my laptop. Below is a program called Stellarium. It's showing you real time what would be happening, but it's a computer simulation of what's happening right now. And on the right side of your screen is actually my camera, a Canon 6D with a 300mm lens and a 10x digital zoom, showing Saturn and Jupiter. And you can actually see its moons, which is pretty cool. So hopefully you guys can see it there, and thanks for tuning in. I know we're lagging a little bit here, but mind you, thank goodness I have fiber here at home, but I'm trying to run this all through my laptop. So it's basically, I told everyone at work today, I'm either going to melt my laptop or we're going to melt the router, one of the two, but I figured we'd try to do this so we could get a nice view of it. So I'm going to keep, this is, the funny thing is if I had a telescope, I would need to track this, so you would have to keep moving the whole time. And that's why it's so hard with a handheld camera. For anyone trying to shoot this, you've just got to keep moving your camera because of the rotation of the Earth. And when I move the camera, I'll apologize ahead of time because it's going to be super shaky, because when you're zoomed in this tight, it tends to, the shaking gets exasperated or exaggerated. But what's really cool is, you can see this behind me, right there. I'm all backwards. You would think I'd get used to this being on a key wall, but you can see over my head there. I'm gonna turn this just a hair so we can see it. Whoa. There we go. I'm gonna turn it just a hair. There we go. So you're getting it on both cameras. So there it is, right above my head, or to the side of my head, right there. That is Saturn and Jupiter. Below me is a simulation, and to the right, over there, is my Canon 6D, which is right here. And then you see my neighbors all out on the street right now checking it out as well. So let's tilt down a little bit more. All right. So there, we'll let it come into frame here. I got to keep moving this though out of the way as well. So we'll let it come into frame now. Man, it's so hard to focus. Anyone who's into astrophotography knows trying to shoot this or shoot a moving object in the night sky is incredibly hard. You typically need some kind of tracking because handheld is just not going to work. So we'll see if I can, I'm going to zoom out just real quickly. Yep. So that's the wide view. So that's the wide view. That's at 300mm to the right there. And I'm going to zoom in. Basically what I'm doing is 300mm zoom on my lens and then a 10x digital zoom, which I'll do right here. So there we go. I'm going to try to move the camera just a hair. We'll see if we get it on frame. There we go. So yeah, this is what you've been hearing about. Now, it's not any brighter than any other night. It's just that this is the closest that Jupiter and Saturn have been in 400 years. Now, 400 years ago, this event occurred during the day, so people weren't able to see it. So you probably heard that number 800 years ago as well. That 800 years ago was the last time this happened at night. And again, if you heard me earlier, I was talking to my neighbors, the next time this is going to happen is 2040. They won't be quite this close, but in 2080 is the next time after that. That is when they'll be as close as they are tonight. Right now, you may not be able to tell, but from a degree standpoint, they're 1/10 of a degree apart. Tomorrow night, if you have clouds now, wherever you're watching across the country, you will see this again tomorrow night. They just will be 0.17 degrees apart instead of 0.10. So 1700ths of a degree. Tonight, they're 1/10 of a degree. So just a slight difference tomorrow, but honestly, to the naked eye, you wouldn't notice, and you wouldn't even notice Wednesday. That's why tonight is a big night, because this is the closest, but really this has been visible for the last several nights. It'll be visible for the next couple of nights as well. So it's a pretty spectacular view all the way around. So it looks like we froze up here. Hopefully we're just lagging there a hair. Definitely a little laggy, so I apologize for that if you're seeing the big lag there. Doing the best I can with, I'm gonna actually turn my page off so that I don't eat up any more bandwidth than I have to, or any more resources. So there it is. Looks like it's still going strong. I might have to refresh this here in a minute. Let's see, we still moving. Let's move this up by here. Okay. So it looks like I locked up here. I hope I didn't crash. I think my thing froze. Oh no. I think it all froze up. Bummer. Let me see. Yep. That's them right there. All right, well, I think I froze, which is no good. Oh, I can still see it. Someone's texting me. Oh, they still see me. Okay. So I'm trying to pan down just a hair. All right. Yep. So I'm trying to tilt down. We'll see. I guess I'm just not seeing on my end. I guess it's lagging so much that it's... So I'm trying to get this camera to move. Let's see. Ooh, it's going off camera, so I need to get back in camera's view. Let me pan out one more time. There we go. All right. So let's see. Hopefully that's working still. It's super laggy, guys, so I really apologize. We're losing some bandwidth here. Someone's texting me, we can still see you. So hopefully you can still see it. I need a real-time view so I can see this. There we go. Looks like it's still showing up on the edge of the screen. What I might do is temporarily turn off the 6D for a second. So just give me a second here. There we go. We'll move that up there so you can see it. All right, let me see. Oh, there we go. We're gonna zoom in. That's much better. There we go. Hopefully that looks good. I think that looks a lot better. At least on my camera, on the back of my camera, I can see it nice and clear. There we go. It's real laggy, guys, but there it is. So again, the bottom left is kind of showing you the moons we're seeing of Jupiter. I wish I could see Titan. I just can't quite see it, but it's very close. There we go. Boy, I can't touch the camera. It gets real shaky there. So there you go. That's the bestest look. So it's getting darker. You also know it's getting lower in the horizon. So over time, you're going to have a tougher time seeing this, because as you can see from my simulated view, how fast they're moving, but also from my camera view, you can see how quickly they're starting to go down. So sorry for the shakes, but the shakiness is really because I'm zoomed in so tight. Now, man, this makes me want to have a telescope. I really was hoping at some point to have a telescope and live stream this, but with the pandemic and everything going on recently, it makes it really hard to find a telescope. So, yep. Oh, so here, come on this side and look at the back of my camera. Watch the cords there.
Y'all already seen this little Santa.
Let me. So let it stop shaking for a second. So that's Saturn and that's Jupiter, and those are the moons of Jupiter. So you're seeing 4 of the biggest moons of Jupiter. Now we can't really tell, but it looks like Saturn's moon is there. See, we're losing its settings. Have to go higher up here. I'm zoomed in like 300 millimeters and then 10 times from there. So I'll show you that this is actually what it looks. Whoops. So I'll do this. That's what it looks like through the lens normally. So I'll get it on camera, and then we'll zoom in. So that's 10 times digital zoom.
Dad, look at that. Those are moons.
What's up, man?
Dad, those are moons.
Yeah, so those moons, you can see I have my little... So that's Callisto, Io, Ganymede, and Europa. So those are the 4 moons of Jupiter. Now we can't quite, it's really getting shaky because it's windy. Here comes a plane, probably gonna fly right below it. Yeah. So the shaking you're seeing right now is actually the wind. It's not even me touching the camera. If you look, I mean, it's so hard to focus at that focal length, but you can almost see the rings of Saturn just slightly.
No way, really?
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of see the disk, how it's kind of flattened out.
That's awesome.
But you know, it's really,
Are they gonna actually
yeah, you really got to focus. Yeah, they're only 1/10 of a degree apart.
Right there. I can't believe that. I've never seen Jupiter or Saturn's moons.
Yeah, when you have a good camera or telescope, you can usually pick them up. I mean, those are the size of Earth or bigger. Those moons, they're huge. That's why normally Titan's visible, which is this moon right here. It's right there. And that's how fast they're moving. If we had a telescope, that's what it would look like.
You're gonna be kidding.
Yeah, they'd be that's how fast the Earth's rotating right now. So that's why you're seeing it move like that. So this is real-time simulation using a program called Stellarium.
When will they cross?
They won't. This is as close as they get. So tomorrow, they're going to start getting farther apart by about a half a degree. So tonight, they're only 1/10 of a degree apart. Tomorrow, they'll be 0.17 degrees apart.
That is really cool.
So I'll put it there so it'll actually,
So that's the closest they'll get?
Here's that.
yeah.
That's awesome. Without your camera, it looks like it's flashing red.
Yeah.
It's my eye.
They're so close. We're looking through so much atmosphere. The lower it gets, you're looking through more atmosphere. Straight up is the thinnest part of the atmosphere. You're looking through the curvature of the atmosphere here. So you're getting all those optical effects of everything in the atmosphere.
I can kind of see Saturn's rings.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's focusing is so hard because when I touch the camera, it shakes so much. So it's like trying to manually focus is just.
Whoa.
So it's like I try to focus to infinity, and that's about the best you can do.
Unbelievable that you can see the moon.
Yeah, so the cool thing with telescopes is if you're an astronomy person, you love this because normally when you look at the planets, you gotta look at one at a time. Right now, you could look at both at the same time by just zooming in on it. You wouldn't have to move your telescope.
Oh wow, it's already gone. That's
Yeah, that's how fast they're moving. So hopefully, see how many people. We still got 10,000 people watching.
You dropping commentary?
Yeah, I'm just talking here. So got my my mic hooked up, so I'm surprised. It's been really laggy because I'm trying to stream so much at the same time. But so it looks pretty good so far. My streaming program is locked up, so I can't tell if I'm. There we go. So everybody's still watching. It's 6:18. We're getting, we're kind of losing the camera angle here. I'm going to tilt down just a hair.
What'd you think, Dexter? Is that cool?
There we go.
Did you see all the little?
So I would love to get a telescope, but they're like, that's another pandemic thing that's like sold out now. They're impossible to find.
My parents ordered one, and they didn't tell them that the order got canceled because they were sold out.
Yeah.
And my dad he was like, no. He was like, this only happens every 800 years. He was so mad. They ended up finding one
Oh,
on Facebook Marketplace.
wow.
But they took it up to the mountain. They're getting to see it. Well, and
I want.
Look how fast that moon is.
If you ever want to know the difference, like if it's a plane or not, planes are always going to flash like that. Steady light would be, that's if you're seeing a satellite, it'll be a steady light. Like when you see the space station fly over, or like the Starlink satellites.
Have you seen the space station?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's second, it's brighter than almost everything out here. You would see, it's a steady light.
really good at
How quickly does it go across?
Oh, it's moving at like 17,000 miles per hour, but so it looks like a star just moving all the way across. Sometimes the best passes take 6 to 8 minutes, but most are about 2 to 5 minutes. Now, before the Starlink satellites, they started making them dark. They put these sun shields on them. Those are the SpaceX satellites that they want to put internet across the globe. There's going to be 40,000 of those in low Earth orbit. So they go in these trains. It looks like a caterpillar going across the sky. It looks crazy. The first time I saw it, I'm like, man, I knew what it was. It was still freaky looking because it looked like a space train. It looked like a train going across the sky. So those are cool. Man, it's moving fast. So I got to keep moving. I'm going to pan out so I can reset here. There we go. There it is. So there's the... So all those moons you're seeing right now. Oh man, it's moving too fast. Got to move the camera just a hair. There we go. Oh. There we go. So sorry for the shakiness. Getting all kinds of wind in here as well. So I'm in the dark. I don't have much light. I actually turned the light off out here so you can't see me because I didn't want the light to mess up the view here. So there we go. Looks like it's coming along better now. So let me jump on the Facebook page maybe and see. Actually, you should see where the comments are. Let me pull those up. Let's look at the chat. Oh, I think I just killed it. Open in browser. So I'm pulling up a couple things. So you probably got brighter light now. You can actually see me. There we go. So I pulled up my chat so I can kind of see you guys asking questions here. See if it comes back here. So I know you might have lost me temporarily. There we go. So I pulled up the chat window to kind of see if you guys asking questions. So everybody, if you're looking where to look, southwest sky, if you saw where the sun set tonight, it's basically right above where the sun set tonight. The moon is higher up. It's way up there. In fact, I might zoom in on the moon here shortly once it goes below the horizon. And then that'll be the thing to look. We probably got till 7 o'clock, but these trees are probably going to kick my view out of here shortly. Moving the camera one more time. There we go. I'm going to zoom out one more time, so apologize. Okay, put you right in the middle of the screen. There we go. Put this at the top. All right, there we go. We'll zoom in. Whoops. We'll zoom in tight. There we go. We'll zoom in one more time. And we're going to move over. There it is. So let me pan down just a hair. Just apologize for the shaking, but we're zoomed in 300 millimeters then, 10 times zoom. There we go. So I'm zoomed in super tight. You should be able to see the moons there. So I'm going to pull up in my app here so I can see you guys. I'm going to need my translator. I got too many people asking questions from other countries. Thanks, Demande. It's kind of nice to see everyone enjoying this from across the world, across the country. I'm sorry if you have clouds tonight, but the good news is if you do have clouds tonight, it won't be as close tomorrow, but it's going to be pretty much the same. So 0.17 degrees tomorrow. Tonight it's 0.10. So while it may not seem like it's as good, let me zoom out again. So this is the wide view, the simulated view. Southwest sky, that's where we're looking right now. Let me zoom in. There you go. So there we go. Callisto, Io, Ganymede, and Europa are all visible, and you can see them on my camera as well. So the camera you're looking at right now with me is my laptop camera. Below is the simulation from Stellarium. And then off to the right here of the screen is the Canon 6D, my 300 millimeter lens, and then a 10-time digital zoom on top of that to kind of show you. There we go. So I moved the camera again, so you should be able to see it. It should stay in frame here. I'm going to try to stay on on this as long as I can until it's below this tree, which I'm going to have a tree issue here shortly. So I don't know if you can tell over my house. I'm going to move this camera. So you could, I don't know, if on my camera you can kind of see the tree line there. Zoom in a little bit carefully. All right, what's up, buddy? You see it, Hockey? Ooh, real gust of wind's gonna shake the camera, so I apologize for that. Yep. My dog's excited to see it too, apparently. So we'll try to keep it in frame as long as possible. So, you know, a lot of folks and my neighbors came over and, you know, were looking at it and were surprised you could actually see the moons of Jupiter. And I think you would be surprised too, even with a decent DSLR or a point and shoot with a good zoom lens. You may not be able to see a lot of this stuff with the naked eye, but what I find with cameras and astrophotography, if you know where to shoot and take the picture and you can focus to infinity, you can usually take the picture into editing software or Lightroom, crop it, zoom in even further, and you'll pick up details that you couldn't see with the naked eye. A lot of comets, deep space stuff that I can't see with the naked eye, I will pick up with the camera. In this case, on the back of my camera, I can see it right now. I can see those moons of Jupiter, but you can do that with a good lens and just zooming in. So I'm going to let it come into frame here again. I'll leave the camera like that. So you would be really surprised. If you got a camera, it's worth taking a gamble on trying to take pictures of stuff like this. And if you have a telescope or a good set of binoculars, you'd be surprised what you can see as well through there. But the coolest thing about an event like this is that you have a naked eye view. I mean, even though I don't have the greatest vision from this distance, I can put my glasses on, I can still pick out that there's two planets there. And it's pretty cool when you think about how far away these planets are, Jupiter and Saturn. And by the way, they look like they're close together to us. They're nowhere near each other. They're some 400 million miles apart. It's basically, an optical illusion to us because of where they are in their orbit. It looks like from Earth they're next to each other. So, it's one of those point of view or perspective kind of tricks. Right now I could hold my hand up to the moon and it would look like my hand is next to the moon. In reality, we know it's nowhere near the moon. But to the naked eye, to us here on Earth, it looks like these two planets are close together, even though in reality they're nowhere near each other. So, that's what makes viewings like this kind of unique, is that it's not that they're that close together, it's just that everything is lining up right now here on the winter solstice, December 21st, 2020, for us to be able to see the great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. So just a cool event all the way around, and you can tell your friends and family that you saw something that wasn't visible for 400 years. Well, really didn't happen in 400 years, but last time it was visible was 800. And the reason you hear that, if you haven't been watching the live stream, I've got a lot of questions about that. Hey Brad, I heard 400, 800 years. Here's the deal. It happened 400 years ago, but it was during the day, so you couldn't really see it. The last time it was visible at night was 800 years ago. Now, a lot of people have heard this referred to as the Christmas star, and I'm here to tell you it's not the Christmas star, because we know that this conjunction did not happen in the time frame based on the biblical stories of the birth of Christ. There are theories that there was another conjunction similar to this that may have been the Christmas star, most likely Venus and another planet, maybe Saturn, Venus and Jupiter would have been really bright, or Venus conjunction with another bright star. Venus is, a very bright object. Besides the moon, Venus is the second brightest object in our night sky. So Venus and another bright object together could have made for a spectacular conjunction. Also could have been a supernova, a star exploding that was visible then, or it could have been some kind of meteor or comet or some other astronomical event we're not familiar with. But we do know, based on going back and looking at the math, and that's really all it is calculating where these planets were during that time, and we know that it wasn't this conjunction, it was probably some other type of conjunction. But because it's similar, people, I think, have referred to it as the so-called Christmas star, even though we know it's two planets and it's a conjunction. So that's kind of the backstory. And obviously, social media, the way it is, seems like anything that gets catchy phrase catches on and becomes kind of the default. So there it is. Still smack dab in the middle of my viewfinder. I'm actually surprised at all the technology I have going here right now. A Surface Pro 2 laptop with a Canon 6D plugged into the side, front-facing camera using XSplit, which if you're a gamer, you're familiar with, and then using Restream to stream to YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, Twitch, and multiple other platforms. So thanks for tuning in tonight. If you're not able to see this firsthand, hopefully this helps. And the cool thing is, this will post to our YouTube page as well as my Facebook page. You can go back and check it out if you miss it. So let me move the camera again. Oh, so shaky. I'm moving just a hair. I'm really not moving it that much, but it just looks like it because of the way. There we go. So again, if you're, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I know people are tuning in and out. You can't really see my face anymore because it's so dark out here and I turned the lights off. But you see in one window. I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here at WCNC in Charlotte, North Carolina. In the lower left-hand corner, I call that the simulated live look because that is a program that I use called Stellarium. That is actually real-time simulation of what is going on in the atmosphere right now, or in the sky, I should say. And I zoomed in to show you the moons. And then to the right of the screen, that's actually a live view from my Canon 6D. I have a 300mm lens on it, and I've got it zoomed in 10x digital zoom. So you can actually see those giant moons of Jupiter, Callisto, Io, Ganymede, and Europa from top to bottom. And then off to the right there, you can see Saturn. What I think is cool, and maybe it's just me, but when I look closely, it's blurry, I know, because it's super hard to focus on this. It's hard to get infinity to focus at this focal length, but I can almost see kind of that flattening disk shape to Saturn, which means you're picking up some of the hints of the rings around Saturn. So pretty cool event overall. And that's what you're looking at. And I probably got, I don't know, what is it, 6:34 Eastern time here in the US. And we're probably beginning to lose, I'm gonna lose this to, probably gonna lose this to this tree eventually here. So I'm hoping I don't completely lose it. Sorry for the shakiness. You know, obviously you're zoomed in so tight that you start to lose some of the views of it. So there it is, zoomed back in. And we had a little golf cart go by. That was kind of cool. Yeah, when you're set up in your driveway with laptops on tripods and cameras, you tend to attract your neighbors. I really attract my neighbors coming up on Christmas because I plan on making snow in my backyard, which will be fun. The first real cold night that I'll have a chance to make it. And since we're not going to get natural snow on Christmas here in Charlotte, I plan to fire up the snowmaker. My snow gun I made about 7 or 8 years ago. We use compressed air and water and make a nice blanket Christmas night into the day after, because we should be down in the low 20s, upper teens with wet bulb temperatures, maybe even lower than that. So again, there it is, the Great Conjunction 2020. Beautiful view. This is probably the best it's been all night because it's super dark. We've got no haze or cloud cover, but one thing I will tell you, and I was telling my neighbor this earlier, the thing about looking at the night sky, the lower things are in the sky, the more atmosphere you're looking through. So they tend to get, you know, when you see twinkling or it looks like flashing, it's primarily because you're looking through so much atmosphere. The best views, like when I take pictures of the moon, my favorite way to take pictures of the moon is when it's high in the sky, because I know it's looking through the thinnest part of the atmosphere, and you've got the least amount of haze and distortion. But when you're looking through this much atmosphere, especially with temperature inversions and pollution or anything else, you tend to kind of distort the picture a little bit. And I haven't lost my battery yet, even though it's getting cold out here. I thought the camera battery would go dead first. So I'm going to let this kind of come into frame here. We'll let it stop shaking there for a second. There we go. So I'll keep moving I'm going to widen this back out in the lower left here so you can kind of see. So there's the southwest sky. And it's funny, those artificial trees in my view down there is not too far off from the view I have here at my house, because Saturn and Jupiter right now to me are just above my tree line that are way off in the distance behind my neighbor's house across the street. So I'm getting pretty close to that time frame as well, where I'm probably going to lose the view below the trees. Now, it's not technically going to be below the horizon, but it will be shortly. That's why you had to get out here early tonight after sunset, about an hour after sunset, which tonight in Charlotte was 5:15. So right around 5:45 to 6:15 was optimal viewing, but we still got pretty good viewing right now until it drops completely below the horizon. I'm going to move this just a hair. There we go. may try to focus in again, but the moons of Jupiter are so clear on my camera that I don't want to mess with the focus too much. This is one of those, if you ever buy a lens, one of the things about camera lenses, I love when they have infinity marked on the lens, because if not, it is hard. And if you don't know what that is, if you're not into photography, infinity is just the farthest, basically focusing on the farthest possible thing in the view. And so when you're shooting stuff way off in the distance, or in this case, way off into space, you want to focus to infinity. And that's kind of what you do when you shoot the moon or any kind of nighttime objects. I do that when I shoot meteor showers. I'll just focus to infinity with the wide angle and let it take pictures all night at 30-second exposures, and then go back and see what I caught. It makes it a lot easier than just sitting there trying to catch something by chance. It's pretty windy out here tonight. If you're in the Carolinas, we've got high wind warnings up for the North Carolina mountains. We've got this kind of dry front, kind of vorticity thing coming through that's going to kick off a ton of wind. So we're going to have wind gusts in the mountains, maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour. And even here across the Piedmont, we'll see 20 to 30 mile an hour wind. So it's pretty loud out here with the wind, and that's why everything's shaking a little bit, because the tripod, even though I have a sturdy tripod, just a little bit of breeze is shaking the camera and shaking my laptop here. So let's see, we're almost out of range here. The last thing I'm going to do tonight before I leave, once I lose my view of Saturn and Jupiter, I'm going to try to get some close-up pictures of the moon, and I will share those with you guys as well, just to show you what it looks like through this lens. I know we had a pretty big audience tonight because a lot of folks in other parts of the country had cloud cover, which seems like every astronomical event here in Charlotte the last year, we've had clouds, but tonight we lucked out. We had clear skies, and I think it's probably a good thing, because tomorrow, even though it's going to be visible again, clouds look like a big issue tomorrow night. So let me widen this out one more time. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's the tree line, probably showing up pretty well. You see the plane there. So I'm beginning to lose, there's the trees. There it is. We'll zoom in one more time. So I'm going to be losing my view here shortly. I should be taking some pictures, which I will take a picture there. We'll snap a picture real quickly. So I just snapped a picture. That's why you saw it freeze there for a second, so I apologize. We're just taking a quick picture. I wanted to make sure I got one before it got too late here. All right, we're gonna lose the picture here pretty soon because I see trees coming into the viewfinder. Yeah, look at that, the tree is right there. This might be the last time I can move the camera and actually see it. So again, these are the moons that we're looking at. You can see them on my camera shot. Callisto, Io, Ganymede, Jupiter, obviously, then Europa. So pretty cool that you can see that close up. I'm getting some tree branches now creeping into my view. I can see this one on the viewfinder. Excuse me. So we're getting some treeage here. Once the tree gets in here and gets in the way, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick little view of the moon, and the wind is picking up as well. Very chilly out here tonight. I'm surprised we're kind of shooting the gap between two tree branches right now, which is a good thing. So we've still got a pretty good view there. I think it's funny how my simulator actually is not too far from the tree line as well, though this looks like I'm in a field in my simulator. In reality, I'm in my neighborhood, in my driveway, and we're getting really close to being out of view here. So let me pan up just a hair here. Well, I can see the trees coming into frame. We'll wait till it gets to the bottom of the frame there. So again, this simulator in the bottom is a software. It's free online. I highly recommend it. There's a web version, so you don't have to download it. You can use it in the browser called Stellarium. It is a awesome piece of software, mainly because you can put in your location and go anytime into the future and see any kind of astronomical event to see what it's going to look like. So it's a really useful tool. So there we are. I'm looking at my camera, and we're starting to lose the back edge here. I'm going to pan down. This might be the last couple of frames here. I'm going to let this one actually come into frame from top to bottom, so we'll kind of let it go. And then before I leave you tonight, I'm gonna leave you with some shots of the moon, which I'm going to warn you now, moving the camera around, trying to get those pictures will be really fun because the moon is actually almost straight above my head right now. It is way up there. And so we'll have to kind of finagle the camera and the tripod to get a shot up there without yanking the cord out of the laptop here. This is the one time where having a touch screen has been very useful for me, because without a mouse and having this laptop kind of on a tripod, using a touch screen has been very useful. So for those that I've had a couple people ask me about, what the setup is out here, why we're having some lag, is because I'm actually trying to max out a lot of resources here. The resources I am using, I'm actually at my house. I've got a Surface Book Pro 2 with my Canon 6D plugged into the side, using the Canon EOS webcam utility, which allows you to use your DSLR basically as a webcam. We're using Stellarium down at the bottom there, bottom left, and then we're streaming this all via XSplit. So we're losing our views, almost out of camera angles here. See, there's the tree, you saw that? So it's getting down to the tree line here. I'm gonna tilt down just a hair. Oh, I think we lost the battery there. I think we just lost the battery, hold on. So bear with me 1 second. I think the battery died. We'll try to swap it out real quickly here. Hopefully it comes back on here in a minute. I think it will. There we go. All right. So there we go. We got hopefully it's back on. I think it is. So we should be on camera. Look at the trees right there. So there we are, getting to the trees. I'm going to take a picture because that's kind of a cool picture, actually. What's that? No. All right, so battery's almost dead. So I thought I was losing my battery here for a second, but you can see we're right on the tree line. So let me get one last shot here for you guys. We're gonna zoom in real tight so you can see the tree branches. That's kind of a cool shot, actually. You see the tree branches floating in the foreground. So I'm about to lose my view of the beautiful great conjunction of 2020, Saturn and Jupiter, 10th degree apart. There they are, almost out of view. And you can see them passing kind of right over my neighbor's house. I'm gonna move this just a hair. See you guys. So my camera's right here. Move my camera just a hair. So there's the last couple of images as it goes behind a tree. And there it is. And right now I have 6:47 p.m. my time. There's a plane passing just above it. That was kind of cool. So there it is. Let me see, I might be able to keep it in frame just a hair longer. See, now we're losing it in the tree branches. So there it is. Got a good, I'd say an hour and 10 minutes of visibility before I lost it in the trees. The crazy thing was with sunset tonight at 5:15, twilight was so long. It took a long time for it to become visible before it dropped below the horizon. So as promised, before I leave you, I am going to do some shots of the moon. So let's do that. So I'm going to be moving the camera, so bear with me just a second. This is kind of a tedious process to get my camera view set up. So we're going to lower this for a second. I'm going to step over here without tripping, and we're going to try to get a view of the moon. Okay. Let me see. This is going to be harder than I expected because the moon is so high in the sky. So you're not going to see me for a second. I'm actually going to step right down here. All right, and this is a little bit harder to focus, so we're going to do some creative So what I might need to do is, the problem with shooting the moon versus shooting a planet is that we're basically going to be shooting sunlight. So you gotta basically crank down all your settings that you normally would be using to shoot darker objects in the sky. So bear with me just a second. So one of the things I'm going to do is zoom in real tight here. So there you go. There's a nice, crisp, clean view of the moon. We've got some real nice craters showing up there. Let me tilt over just a hair. There we go. We'll let it settle down. So there you go. Before I leave you, we'll leave you with some nice, cool images of the moon. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in for the live stream. I apologize for the shakiness. Having neighbors come by and say hi, and all the technology issues, but kind of nice to leave you with your last shots of the moon. So thanks again. I'm going to leave that up until it drops out of frame, just to give you a last little view of the night sky. The cool thing about watching stuff like this, and one thing I always tell people is, the reason I love this stuff is, if you can get your kids or get your friends or your neighbors to get outside and just look up once in a while, you're going to see some really cool things. The sky, the solar system, our world around us is just an incredible thing. And I think we don't take enough time to just look up and admire this stuff. And if there's one positive thing from the pandemic, which I hope will continue, is that everybody takes the time to look around more often, because it is pretty cool. So there you go. Leave you with that last little view of the moon. And by the way, if you're wondering where the moon is in relationship to Saturn and Jupiter, it is right there. So lower part of your screen will show you the simulated part of what you're seeing. Thanks again. I'm going to leave up the moon view until it's out of view. Take care, everybody.